Hello YouTube and welcome back to the Drunken Kobold. Today we have the mother, the queen, the god of chromatic dragons, Tiamat, in her new Gargantuan miniature form. And for scale, there is a medium miniature down by her paw there. So yeah, that kind of just gives you an idea of how massive this miniature is. Tiamat is the mother of chromatic dragons, and possibly under the new lore revisions of Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, the consort of Bahamut, Paladine, Fizban, the father of the metallic dragons. So there is a lot of rich lore behind this character, and I will be putting a link to it in the description below for both Takishis for Dragonlance and for Tiamat for Forgotten Realms, because there is just so much rich lore that I could talk for hours about her. So first, let's talk about how this miniature is assembled. This miniature comes in 4 pieces: the body, the tail, and the 2 wings. The heads are all attached to the body. They do not require further assembly. Assembly for this is really easy. Her tail pops on just like the Arviataris miniature, and the wings clip in place. You can push them in and then slide them so that they don't come out. I've had a few people say that the clips on the wings didn't work and that they needed glue, but I did not have that problem. So I don't know how widespread that is, but do be prepared to possibly have to glue the wings in place. The detail on this miniature is phenomenal. Each of these heads is about the same size of the head that we got on the Arviataris miniature, but so much more detail, so much more beautiful colors. Like, look at that white dragon head. That is everything the Arviataris miniature promised to be. The shades of black and gray on the white body, with the hues of pink in the scales around her neck and her frills. That is so much better. And like, had we gotten these details with Arviataris and the adult dragons, oh, that would have been absolutely great. But like, damn, this miniature is beautiful. Tiamat appears so far twice in 5e modules. Rise of Tiamat / Tyranny of Dragons hobby cover. She is the final boss, the big bad endgame. And in Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, you do actually go by her lair. Her lair in Avernus is on the map, though she does not feature herself. But if your players wanted to take a side quest, they definitely could go down that lair and meet this massive monster. That said, she also has 2 different stat blocks for 5th edition. The one found in Rise of Tiamat and Tyranny of Dragons, and the new one, the Aspect of Tiamat, found in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. The Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, in my opinion, is much more stronger, much more powerful, and is going to be the one you want to use on a late campaign versus the one that you get in Rise of Tiamat. Now, the timing for this miniature is okay. It came out with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. There is going to be some interest for this miniature, but this miniature would have done best if this was the miniature that was released for Tyranny of Dragons back in 2014, and if this is the scale of miniatures that we were going to establish with Icons of the Realms. This would have been perfect then. But right now, there isn't much use for Tiamat and not a lot of interest around her in terms of game use. Now, is there uses for this miniature outside of being a Tiamat miniature? There is a creature in the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons that does have the 5 chromatic heads as well, but I think this miniature might just be a little too big for that. Okay, maybe a lot too big for that. So there isn't really a lot of use for this miniature outside of a few boss encounters in a couple campaigns and homebrew campaigns. So her use is very limited. Now, let's take a look at her price. She retails for $400 US. She is expensive, even to collectors who like to save a little bit of money here and there so that they can splurge on a really big purchase like Tiamat, the ship, the yawning portal, the tower. This is something that is way out there for your average person and is out there for wealthy collectors. And the Tyranny of Dragons model, despite not being as detailed or beautiful looking, is going to be sufficient. But to increase the interest in this miniature, Wizkids has taken the original Tiamat out of print again. Yes, it is out of print again, and this is the Tiamat that you are going to be able to order from Wizkids, though I do not know for how long. This is a large miniature that is not going to be cheap for Wizkids to produce, and I don't see them producing it for long if there isn't a lot of interest in her. So that said, easy to assemble. She's a very interesting miniature with a lot of rich lore and history to her, but just not a lot of use and a very expensive price tag. So as impressed as I am by the beautifulness of this dragon, I can only give this a 5 out of 10. I am sorry, Tiamat, that I cannot rate you higher, but you are just not a miniature that your average dungeon master is going to want to add to their collection and be able to do so without feeling buyer's remorse. So that is where I am at with the giant Tiamat figure. I definitely would like to be able to field her against my players, but another downside is she is very hard to transport. She would require assembly and dismantling every time, because under her current weight, she actually starts to fold at the base if you pick her up by the base, which is a very huge problem for long-term carrying and use. Have you had a chance to look at this fantastic miniature yourself? What are your thoughts on the Gargantuan Tiamat? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you feel I deserved it, please leave a like and consider subscribing. And in the meantime, cheers, and may the rolls be with you.